Many people saw the passage of a second stimulus bill as inevitable, and now that U.S. Senate's recess is over, they need to quickly alleviate the financial stress of millions. The original second proposed stimulus check was likely to provide 26 million more people with cash thanks to the Health, Economic Assistance, Liability Protections and Schools Act (KEALS). With the labor market stagnating, people are waiting on the government to execute checks and on provisions in the HEALS Act to ensure it doesn't have a discriminatory impact against Black families and low-income households. Given the impending election and abysmal economy, just how incentivized will they be to get money in the hands of citizens who need support? The breakdown you need to know: the Senate-led HEALS Act and the House-approved HEROES Act proposals, which are not law, include money for a second stimulus check of up to $1,200. But they differ by a couple $1 trillion on other measures to include for economic relief. A second stimulus check could help buoy members of the Black community until the economy and job market stabilize. Perhaps stimulus checks, Part deux, will go out in September. Though it's more likely that a bill will be passed sometime this month, with checks to be issued in October. CultureBanx reported if it doesn't happen before the November presidential election, folks probably won't see checks until 2021, if at all. With nagging disparities in income, family wealth, unemployment and more, millions of people are often just one paycheck away from financial disaster. Even though unemployment numbers have fallen in the last month down to 8.4% in August, the economy is still in crisis mode. There are 11.5 million people without jobs. That number is far worse in the Black community, as unemployment now stands at 13%, and remains the highest among large racial groups. Let's hope people of color will receive these second checks a lot quicker than they did the first time. A study by the Urban Institute found discriminatory outcomes with stimulus checks that were delivered faster to wealthy whites than to Black and Hispanic families, as well as to lower-income households. Specifically, 3/4 of white adults received their checks by late May, compared with 69% of Black adults and 63% of Hispanic adults. Not to mention, nearly half of all Americans have reported the loss of income from March through the beginning of July, according to Census data. This highlights the financial stress households are facing as the pandemic and economic lockdown triggers the worst downturn since the Great Depression. Without a second stimulus check, renters are in trouble like never before due to the threat of eviction. Especially, when you consider that only 44% of Black families own their homes as of the first quarter of 2020, according to Redfin RDFN.